Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to My Here Reads. It is Halloween. You're not watching this on Halloween, but I mean, I can't not dress up. I have my wand and my knife, so I am ready to protect myself against the patriarchy. I am Kiersten Michele. I am a fantasy author and massive bookworm, and this is gonna come as a surprise possibly, but feminist. Anyways, we're gonna talk about feminism today. I want to talk about books that make me scream in female rage. These are fiction books, because I could give you non-fiction recommendations on feminism, but that's not as exciting as books that I think deal with feminist themes in a very fantastical or sci-fi or simply fiction manner that I really appreciate. These are not happy books necessarily, but they make me rageful in a good way. Starting off, I am going to talk about the book that I think that made me think about this video. And that book is, and of course I don't have it because I gave it to a friend. I do that a lot. It is Once and Future Witches by Alix E. Harrow. It is about three sisters who live in a society where witches were real, magic was real. The Salem witch trials, they were catching women using magic, and women have since that time been oppressed and stopped from using magic because women cannot be trusted to use magic because they're bad. And it is very like, it's stuck in that time period of like, women don't know better. So it is kind of an allegory, is that the right word? of the suffrage movement. And so it is these sisters and they meet other people, and it is them trying to give women a voice again through magic and votes. It is so beautifully done, but some of the parts is just, it makes you angry. And I also think, I'm going to talk a little bit about this for each of the books that I can give a voice to on that, but I really like it too because it does a really good job of giving some intersectionality with a black character and the black suffragette movement, and kind of that discussion of like, hey, our fight looks different than your fight. Your fight doesn't necessarily bring our fight up, and how can we work together? I really appreciated that. I screamed in feminist rage many times throughout that book, and it was fantastic, and it's also just a really beautiful fantasy magical book. So yes, that is the one that gave me the idea for this video, and then I realized there was a lot of other books out there that I can also speak to. Let's go on. The next book I'm going to talk about, the author literally said that she wrote this as a feminist retelling of, I believe, Shogun anime, and that is Iron Widow. And so this, it makes you scream in female rage because the author knew what she was doing. So it is a very feminist take. It is a girl who is in a society where women are pretty much treated as batteries. They're used and thrown away. And she doesn't like that, and she ends up killing the male instead of the male killing her, and it goes from there. I really enjoyed it. Very, very heavy feminist themes. It is on the nose with that. It is not trying to be subtle, so if you don't like that, you're gonna get annoyed sometimes, but if you do, I mean, pick it up. Scream out. Ah, really good book. The next one I want to talk about is not the one that gave me the idea for the video, but the one that I most recently read that I was like, I need to do this video because I have so many emotions and I need to talk them through. That was The School for Good Mothers by Jessamine Chan. This is a futuristic dystopian sci-fi about a woman who, after a really bad day, leaves the house, leaves her baby in the house alone, and gets caught. And it is about her journey of going through trying to get her rights back as a parent. So it is really interesting because you read it and you're like, yeah, man, she got done messed up. Not the greatest thing. But it's also very clear she's a single parent who was having a mental breakdown and probably needed help. And then things just go downhill from there. And the whole idea is it is this new social work revolution where mothers are being trained to be good mothers. And so really it's dealing with what does it mean to be a good mother, and it shows what if we all just thought there was one way to be a mother and that was the only way to be a mother and you had to be that, and if not, you didn't deserve to be a mother. It deals with racism, it deals with the male side of things. So there's a school for good fathers that is very different than the one for good mothers. And the different races are treated very different. The main character is, I believe, Chinese. So you're dealing with that piece of her identity being an issue. So angry. But I really enjoyed it. I know some people really did not like it because it's very over the top, but that was the point. It is very clearly supposed to be, let us take everything to the extreme. What would that look like? But really we're talking about things that we tell mothers anyways, which is you should just know how to be a good mother, and you should always be caring, and make sure you always talk to your kid in this beautiful, lovely little voice, and you don't want to ever yell at your kid because then you're going to ruin them. Let's take that to the extreme and show how ridiculous it is, because even when it's not at the extreme, that's really ridiculous. And that is coming from someone who's not a mother, so, you know, take that with a grain of salt. But I personally feel like we put a lot of pressure on mothers. Anyways, another book that I think, like Iron Widow, it is clear what this book was doing. It is not like, oh, gasp, I have feminist rage problems after reading this. I'm so surprised. That is When Women Were Dragons by Kelly Barnhill. This book is about, I believe it takes place in the 70s, but it is about that like 50s housewives out just magically one day all turn to dragons. The ones that were straining at the bit, not wanting to be the perfect female anymore. Literally a bunch of women just turned into dragons. And of course society then decided that didn't happen and they never existed to begin with, and what are you talking about? Doop, 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 gaslighting. And so now this is years later, and it is about a girl who lost her mother to that dragoning. And it is about her and her sister and her father's relationship. She is pretty much raising her sister at this point because her father pieced out. Cue some feminist rage there. Cue some rage, parenting, I don't even know. But this is also dealing with the main character is gay, and so, and this once again is taking place in like the 70s, I think. It is not like today's world. Things are not okay. So it is dealing with that piece as well, intersectionality. I know a lot of people struggled with this because it is looking at it from a white perspective. It is the white 50s housewife feminism with that intersectionality around gay, lesbian individuals, but they don't discuss race really in here. But still, very good, very beautifully written, and just a really magical take on what happens when women aren't able to take it anymore and need to explode, metaphorically. Or literally into a dragon. Another one that this one also gave me a lot of emotions, and not even just feminist rage emotions, but human, oh my god, I'm horrified and I can't deal with this emotions, but... So yeah, this is a horror book. An adult horror book. And that is the funny thing is I actually think it's YA, but it's really horrifying. Really. Anyways, that the book is The Spirit Bears Its Teeth by Andrew Joseph White. This book deals with trans issues and like anti-female misogyny and just cool. So the main character is a trans boy. So everyone in his family considers him a girl, and they think that, oh, she is just playing dress up cause she cray cray. And he's like, cool, no, that's not at all what I'm going through. Tries to explain that. That doesn't go well. So he ends up kind of put into this hospital with these women who have also pissed off the patriarchy. But it's a world where people with purple eyes are born and they are able to move between different realms. They're able to open up the spirit realm, and men decide that really women with purple eyes, that's just a mistake. It's only the men with purple eyes are really the ones that are supposed to, and if women do it, they're gonna go crazy. Like, really brings up that whole past belief of your uterus is going to travel and then you'll be hysterical if you run too much as a woman. We're talking like that era of misogyny. And he ends up locked away in this girls' hospital, and it is about him trying to stay sane as he is going through therapy. And I say that with all of the quotes as a therapist, not therapy. And so it is about him going through that, trying to get out, trying to leave, falling in love, all of these other things. And there's all these other women there that are there for various other reasons. And it's just horrifying. Like, bad things happen to these people, to these girls, to this boy, and no one listens. It was hard to read at times. It is very body horror, and that is not my thing. And especially when you're talking about trans in this early time period, they talk about specific things like self-imposed hysterectomies and abortions, and I'm like, okay. So yes, if you're gonna read it, go in with that knowledge. It is dark, but if you want to get angry at the world, it's a great one to go with. So I think this one is another one where it's not very surprising that it made me scream in feminist rage. When I was reading it, I was very surprised because I made the stupid error of reading this book without reading the back. So at the first part of the book, when one of the main characters is sexually assaulted, I was like, ah! It's literally about that. That is what this book's about. Okay, so this is Beartown by Fredrik Backman. I'm not spoiling anything. It is on the back. But it is about a town reeling with the fact that this girl claims to have been sexually assaulted by the captain of the hockey team. It is a small town in Sweden. It is a hockey town. This is their life. This is very much like the football towns in small town Texas in America. This is all they care about. And so the idea that their captain could have done this and that this girl is trying to ruin their season. I love it because it makes me scream in feminist rage, but in a really satisfying way. The end is, it's hard, but it's satisfying. I feel like it's one of the few books where I feel like valid at the end. You're just like, yes, thank God, we're okay. Because some of the other books I am still screaming in feminist rage about. At least this one I'm like cheering in feminist empowerment. And it is the first in a series of 3. The other books, they're dealing with the same assault and the same problem throughout kind of almost the other younger kids as they're growing up and the family as it continues on. So really good. highly recommend. This book broke my heart. I cried, I screamed, I smiled. Loved it. Who doesn't want to read a book that's gonna make you scream and cry? Why do we read again? Oh, anyways. Speaking of books that make you want to scream and cry. I guess that's this whole video. What am I? Yeah. Anyways, another one that's not super surprising. I just felt like I couldn't not talk about it as I'm making this video. And that is My Dark Vanessa by Kate Elizabeth Russell. I mean, when you're talking about feminist rage and feeling like the need to scream and go, oh my god, why? How can you not talk about this book? So this book is about a girl who, well, a woman, and she's looking back to her time in high school when she fell in love with her teacher and had an affair with him. And it is pretty much about her coming slowly to the realization that perhaps as an underaged teenager, having an affair with your adult teacher that's actually not consensual, and it's not an affair, it's actual abuse, but it's very slow. She is not, you do not go into it going like, ah, yes, she recognizes she was abused, everything's gonna be great. She is going into it like, let me tell you about this romance I had. And how mad I am that other girls are now saying he assaulted them. Because he couldn't have, because he loved me. It's very good. Hard to read. There are some trigger warnings just in terms of it is a difficult read. It feels very real. But I think it is beautiful, it's well done, and I think it has a really good take of showing how this can happen and how someone might walk away and not recognize until 10 years later, oh my god, I think I was abused. Because that's the whole point of how people get away with it, is they manipulate and convince people it's consensual and it's good and it's romantic. So I really appreciate that. I think it's a very good take, but it is also hard to read because of that. I'm gonna go over the next couple pretty briefly because I feel like I just talked about them in another video, but that is The Gracier by Kim Liggett, and then also The 10,000 Doors of January by Alix E. Harrow. So both of these books I recently talked about, but once again, I feel like I couldn't not talk about them when it comes to feminist rage, because hello. So The Gracier is about dystopian world where at the age of, I think 16 to 17, they are sent into the woods, all the women, or girls. So the girls are sent into the woods from the age of, or at the age of 16, and they are given a year to just live free of rules and constraints. And somehow, magically, most of them die every year. And no one talks about it, and no one tells them what happens during this time. They're just sent off, and then a bunch of people die, and only a few come back, and you never know why. And the main character is going off this year, and she doesn't like the idea of just going off to slaughter. So yeah, things happen. It is so hard to read. Once again, horrifying. There are some horror elements, but the feminist rage is real. And this one I think really deals with female on female violence, particularly as it is manipulated by society, the patriarchy, and men kind of manipulating these girls into destroying each other. So it's, take that as you will. And then 10,000 Doors of January, this one is more feminist rage in terms of just the main character is a young female who finds this magical door into a different realm, and then it's pretty much gaslit into being told that she's crazy, these never existed, she is sent to an insane asylum at one point, and it is very much that late 1800s, early 1900s, women cannot be trusted, women go crazy, we can't let them do too much and have too much because, once again, their uteruses will travel and then they go crazy. So we need to keep them under control. But very beautiful. I mean, once again, let me talk about Alix E. Harrow and how much I love her. It's getting creepy now. I think she might actually come out with a restraining order against me. Like, stop talking about me. Please don't. Okay. Then the next one I want to talk about is Anatomy, a Love Story by Dana Schwartz. And this book, the sequel actually just came out this year as well, which is Immortality, a Love Story. This book is a lot more subdued with the female rage, but I really appreciated it. It is about a young woman in early Scotland who wants to become a doctor at a time when women are not allowed to be doctors. It is her journey trying to become a surgeon through that. And it is supernatural. Things happen. She saves the day, obviously, but she's a female, so not okay. Very cute. Very lovely love story, but also just really well done in terms of characters and in terms of this girl's struggles to be who she wants to be. And that continues on into the sequel. And then lastly, because as I was talking about intersectionality and feminism, this book just kept popping into my head, I need to just mention it, and that is Mexican Gothic by Silvia Moreno-Garcia. This book, it does... like, it's not the book that I think of when I think of feminist rage, but it is talk about gaslighting. It is a Gothic book about a girl who goes to visit because her cousin is going crazy and asked for her, and then is pretty much told no, and gaslit into thinking everything's fine, but like things are definitely not fine. And you put another layer on that of massive racism, particularly against indigenous and dark-skinned people in Mexico compared to the Spanish and white Mexicans of this period, and some eugenics, and you get Mexican Gothic. And I just feel like people don't talk enough about the eugenics themes in Mexican Gothic, so I wanted to mention that because I loved it. It like the most, why do I read for fun? This is hurting way. But I really appreciated it. I did love it. And I thought it bared a mention given the theme of today. So that is probably not all the books that I can think of, but I feel like I've talked a while, so I should stop. Let me know in the comments if I've missed books that I need to read that will make me scream in feminist rage. And let me know if you want a list of non-fiction books, because I can do that. Highly recommend White Feminism. I believe it's Invisible Women was a good one. Hood Feminism, also very good. Anyways, you know, go check the non-fiction ones out if you want to read about real life things, or read about, you know, fantasy worlds where sexism still exists, so you can be angry fantastically. Anyways, we'll see y'all next week. Love you. Bye.